Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I'd like to continue on with our discussions of 1970s disaster movies. And if you don't mind, I'd like to focus our attention today, if I may, on a film that was released in 1972, and it was directed by John Guillermin and produced by Walter Saltzer. And it has among its really stellar cast Charlton Heston, Yvette Mimieux, James Brolin, Jean Crane, Roosevelt Grier, Leslie Uggams, Walter Pidgeon, and Susan Dey. And it is a very suspenseful film about disaster on an airplane. And it is the work which is called Skyjacked. Now, as the title may suggest, it is a film that involves some kind of hijacking or skyjacking of an airplane, in this case a passenger airliner, and that is a major component of this film. But that is not all, because a lot of this film, or a primary or one of the significant components of this film, is the establishment of the mystery and the potential or actual threat that could be involved with this passenger airline. And what I mean is the potential or actual threat or possibility that there may or may not be a bomb or some kind of explosive that is placed somewhere on this airplane that is in flight, as it were. And it is the discovery and establishment of this possible disaster, and it is the establishment of this mystery that forms a lot of the tension early on. And amongst this storyline, we are introduced to various people, various characters on the crew, including the pilot character played by Charlton Heston, and we are also introduced to the passengers, or some of the passengers. And it is through this introduction of these various cast of characters that we realize that the possible culprit, or the person responsible for this threat to the airline or the airplane, could be on board. And so one of the very strong aspects of this film, I would suggest, is this type of mystery element, a locked room mystery, as it were, set in the sky or on this airplane. Who could the possible culprit be? And when we realize what the actual story is behind this event, that, as I say, is the title of the film, Skyjacked, then we are in for another twist in terms of the sources of tension that occupy this particular story. And there are a number of twists and turns that I must say are very effective indeed. I think another strength of this film is the way that it presents information. It presents its cast of characters. We see the various backgrounds and various backstories of characters, some of which involve maybe relationship issues or love triangles. And so we understand that this is an element that is very common in, say, the disaster genre mode of the 1970s. And so it's really another source of this type of entertainment to have this type of characterization. And I really love the presentation, because sometimes we get these uses of flashbacks in a way that can be said to be very stylized, and that adds an extra level, I think, of entertainment value. But even the flashback structure sometimes can be used in a way that is very unexpectedly chilling and quite unnerving, and it can knock one off one's balance as one is watching the film, thus making more room for a type of unease when we're watching this film. So my point here is that while this film is presenting its cast of characters and the potential relationships and the like, it is also reminding us of the sources of tension that could be involved, and that is due to the filmmaking tactics. For example, I was indicating the use of flashback structures in very key instances as an example, and another example more broadly is what I was indicating earlier, which is the establishment early on of this mystery element. We understand that sometimes the camera is using maybe a stylized maybe a perspective shot to hide the identity of the potential culprit, as it were, and to see close-ups of writing lipstick on paper to indicate some kind of sinister messages, but we don't know exactly who's doing the writing, etc. And that mystery is sustained up to a certain point, and then the film turns into a full-on type of disaster film that lives up to the title of the film, Skyjacked. And then when we see what the actual events are that lead to the ultimate conclusion, then I think we realize that we're in for a very tense-filled, action-filled type of disaster on an airplane. And it's up to various people that we meet as part of the passengers and or crew that hopefully can stop the dreaded event just in time, whatever they may be. And you have to watch the film to get those specifics. Now, I'm trying to be as vague as possible here as well, and I'm doing this for a point too, which is the film Skyjacked is from 1972, and so perhaps if one is looking for information about it, one will find, say, detailed synopses written online about the story and about exactly what the mystery is, who might be involved, who might be the culprit, etc. And indeed, I have the DVD here, and it's a great DVD, and I'm very, very fortunate to be able to have been able to get this. But I don't want to show the back because the pictures that are included on the back might be indicating who exactly might be the culprit. And I'm looking at the blurb, the write-up on the back, and it actually tells us who the culprit is. And even the DVD menu itself has pictures which I think are very, very clearly showing what the source of the mystery is, or the solution of this particular mystery, who is behind this particular threat. And I'm not suggesting that if you know that information from the outset, that will spoil the rest of the film. I think that is not in any way a wholly insurmountable impediment in terms of an enjoyment or an entertainment factor when coming to this film for the first time. I'm not suggesting that at all. But what I am suggesting, is that if you are coming to this film for the first time, if you haven't seen this film and you are interested in watching a disaster film set on an airplane, then my suggestion is, if possible, try to avoid any kind of synopsis, try to avoid any type of picture or read-up on it, and try to go in with as little information about the plot as possible, because I think that will sustain the entertainment level and the suspense level in terms of that mystery aspect that I was talking about. That is the real thrust of at least the first components of the film. And so if you can avoid those types of spoilers, then I would strongly suggest it. And if not, that's okay, because I still think you're in for a really great time, a very entertaining, quite tense-filled disaster in the air. And the characterizations, as I was indicating, are very well established. The supporting characters as well as the primary characters all around it's a really great group of characters that have their own little quirks, their own little sets of traits that one really follows, and there isn't a sense of a cardboard type of presentation. Each of the characters here has their own three-dimensional type of humanity to them. And so it really is suggestive of how these performers are taking the material very seriously. And I really appreciate that, because that also adds a level of tension and suspense. And that's not to say that it is wholly, say, somber or sad note. There are moments of levity There are some moments or glimpses of drama or melodrama that I think heighten the sort of the buoyancy, if you will, of the tone of the film. I think also the music also has this jazz type of feel to it as well, which is very catchy and very effective. Perry Botkin Jr.'s score. And I also think, as I say, the way it presents information in this slightly offbeat or slightly unnerving way, it also keeps one on edge, but also it indicates a type of flair to the cinematic style and presentation, perspective, camera perspective, and hiding identities, and also giving us maybe flashback or dream sequences, or also sudden bursts of violence or paranoia or hysteria that are expressed in very sudden shifts of tone, as it were, while at the same time giving us characters that we can believe in and we can really follow, even with very limited information or very limited running time. And so I'm very much impressed by the presentation of this, and I'm always very entertained, and it also keeps me on edge. And there is, as I say, an unnerving, eerie quality that also propels the suspense and entertainment levels forward. And overall, therefore, I think this film, Skyjacked, is another great example of the suspenseful disaster movie set on an airplane. And we have a cast of characters that we can really follow and really maybe sympathize with or really root for in those senses of the term, as well as just feel for when certain things happen the way they do, leading up to the very end. So you're in for a very suspenseful entertainment when you watch this film, in my view, which is the film Skyjacked. Okay, my friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. Thank you so much, as always, for your time. I very much appreciate it. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.